Hello, you're watching Uzreport World News. I'm Barno Nazarzoda. According to the latest data by the Uzbek Minister of Health, more than 90,000 people still remain in quarantine across the country in the bid to contain coronavirus spread. The situation in the Central Asian region is as follows. As of 2 p.m. on Thursday, the number of confirmed novel coronavirus cases in Uzbekistan has increased by 17, having reached 190, with 2 recorded deaths and 12 recoveries. Kazakhstan so far has 402 cases, 3 deaths and 27 recoveries. 239 cases have been registered in Afghanistan, 5 have recovered. Kyrgyzstan has reported 116 cases, 5 patients have recovered so far. Still no official data has been received from Tajikistan and Turkmenistan. Amid COVID-19 crisis, Uzbekistan delivered humanitarian aid to neighboring countries, Kyrgyzstan and Afghanistan. Trains were loaded with various food products as well as disposable coveralls, respirators, gloves, goggles, pyrometers and test systems used to prevent the spread of coronavirus infection. In Uzbekistan, screening for COVID-19 will be restricted to only those who arrived from countries where the virus outbreak was relatively large. From economic perspective, it is inefficient and impossible to conduct mass screening, says Nurmat Otabekov, head of the State Inspection of the Sanitary and Epidemiological Supervision.
Как правило, дезинфекция используется более.
No mass screening of the population is expected. This is impractical and impossible. No country can afford this. At the same time, any screening should be justified and cost-effective. Uzbekistan has organized screening of all persons who have come from epidemic regions, as well as all people who have been in contact with patients.
Meanwhile, a number of countries are conducting mass screening to contain the spread of the virus. About the situation in other countries in our next report. South Africa's President Ramaphosa said the government will roll out mass screening for the coronavirus and deploy 10,000 field workers to check up on people and their homes to symptoms. Britain's government said it would ramp up the number of coronavirus tests amid widespread criticism that was doing too few, as ministers suggested that shortages of the chemicals were partly to blame. Officials say testing for COVID-19 is key to fighting it, not least the check of medics of the fourth line of the epidemic could return to work. But while Germany has been testing about 500,000 people a week, Britain's current capacity is just 12,750 a day, a figure the government said it was aiming to double by mid-April. Germany had 77,981 confirmed coronavirus cases on Wednesday, with 931 deaths. The country is using the time before the expected surge to strengthen its intensive care capacity. The quarantine has affected many sectors of the economy, not only the Uzbek economy, but economies across the globe also. Uzbekistan has always been considered as an exporter of the quality fruits and vegetables, with Russia being the main importer. What is the situation now? The head of the Inspectorate of the Plant Quarantine, Ibrahim Ergashev, has this answer.
Tadbirkorlarimizga shuni ma'lum qilmoqchimizki,
To date, we have no any restrictions on the export of vegetables and fruits. The work is carried out in the same way as before. Closed borders are just rumors. The Russian Rossellkhoznadzor has confirmed that there are no restrictions and all borders are open. Even more, the demand for agricultural products has soared. We also spoke with the quarantine service of Kazakhstan. There are no transit restrictions there either. The only issue on the border is inspection of the transport and checking the driver's temperature. At the moment, we plan to export 12 types of products to China, including dried fruits and peppers. We are negotiating to lift the ban on the export of vegetables and fruits as well. Entrepreneurs are making contracts online. The borders will open in 2 weeks.
As the coronavirus is spreading across the globe, so is the amount of unreliable information disseminated via internet. In desperate need of any snippet of information, people are referring to various unreliable sources, in spite of the fact that experts throughout the world are continuously suggesting to exclusively rely on the information provided by the government. Therefore, in conjunction with a number of government agencies and the Minister of Health, a new channel on Telegram, Coronavirus Info, has been created to provide reliable and up-to-the-minute information. In fact, as of today, the number of followers of the channel is over 1.2 million. And now, news not related to COVID-19. Uzbekistan, for the first time in its history, has produced high-quality diesel fuel Euro 4 and Euro 5. The world practice shows that this type of fuel has numerous advantages, such as improved engine performance, reduced corrosion, reduced exhaust emissions, and extended cylinder life.
In February, President Shavkat Mirziyoyev had instructed to increase the production of natural gas and liquid hydrocarbons. Mehriddin Abdullayev, chairman of the board of Uzbekneftgaz, was entrusted with this task. To ensure that the goals are met, Uzbekneftgaz has developed a roadmap providing for a phased modernization and reconstruction of the Bukhara refinery. With the online assistance provided by the French company Accents, specialists of the plant have replaced the catalyst and zeolite, which allow to bring the quality of fuel in line with international standards. As a result, March 30 saw a historic day, as the plant produced the first batch of environmentally friendly and high-quality Euro 4 and Euro 5 diesel fuel. According to lab analysis, the amount of sulfur compounds in the produce is 3 ppm, which corresponds to Euro 5 diesel fuel. The annual capacity of the plant to date is up to 100,000 tons of fuel.
The founder of the Silk Road Dance Company in Washington, L'Oreal Gray, has put the flag of Uzbekistan on the porch of her home. This was reported by the Uzbekistan's embassy in the U.S. In such a way, she wanted to express her solidarity with the Uzbek people who have rallied in the fight against coronavirus. The professor, in her address to the Uzbek people, urged all citizens to support the efforts of the government of the country to respond to the spread of coronavirus. L'Oreal Gray is an internationally known scholar, performer, and choreographer. Her track record includes founding of the Uzbek Society of Dance and Culture, establishing the annual Central Asian Dance Camp, and an international award for the title of Best Choreography, the Best Ethnic Dancer. The scientist visited Uzbekistan 14 times and even lived here for 2 years. According to Uzbekistan's diplomatic mission in Washington, the Silk Road Dance Company, founded by Gray, regularly participates in cultural festivals and events with an audience of up to 20,000 people.
Assalamu alaikum, Uzbekistan. Ushkalipsiz, Maryland Don. So we're here in the state of Washington, greeting you, everybody in Uzbekistan. You're in lockdown, and at 8 p.m. tonight, our entire state will be on lockdown as well. It's a difficult time, but think of it this way, it brought us all together. I have to compliment your president for his wise and proactive measures to cut off the connections and the travel. It's difficult, I know, staying in place can be difficult. It may seem like a hardship, but actually it's a gift, because it's a gift of time. We always say, if I only had time, I would do this or that. Like if I only had time, I would read a book. Like this book, like the Baburnama, and learn more about Uzbek history. Or if I only had time, I would ask my parents and grandparents about what life was like when they were children. Or I could do crafts. I could take little pieces of soap that didn't look pretty anymore, and I could make camel-shaped soaps out of it. Look, this camel's going to Samarkand. Well, maybe after the restrictions are lifted. And I know you can do this, because look, in 1939, the Uzbek people built the Fergana Canal in 40 days. No one's asking you to go out and dig a canal. You just need to shelter in place with your family and your friends, and not go out. It's just amazing that this little virus has done so much, but it's positive. It's actually positive, because we see how we're all connected. We're all humans, and we all have to work together to stop the spread of this pandemic. So what other things you could do? Oh, you could dance. You could do dance. It's very healthy to dance in your house, put on music. The independent telecom innovations company operating under the Metro Telecom trademark has announced the launch of broadcasting of popular Russian and international television channels in HD format in Uzbekistan. Among them are such well-known and popular channels as Nickelodeon, MTV, Eurosport, UFC TV, Viasat Nature, Cinema Premiere, Cinema Hit, Spike, Discovery, and many others. Metro Telecom plans to promote the development of legal digital television in the Republic, increasing its accessibility for citizens. Users will get access to legal TV in high quality. The company is also ready to provide channel transmission services to TV operators. Thus, Metro Telecom is the only operator of TV channels listed at www.metrotelecom.uz. Modern technologies and solutions that provide data transmission are used for retransmission. Broadcasting will be carried out from Moscow from the headquarters of Ostankino via the internet using
CDN technology without delays and loss of signal quality, as well as with DRM protection. One of the mandatory conditions for the use of copyright objects, especially for business purposes, is the existence of a license agreement with the authors, copyright holders, or their representatives. Metro Telecom believes that reaching licensing agreements with such global media holdings as Viasat, Viacom, Paramount and Red Media Groups is recognition of Uzbekistan's achievements in the field of openness of the economy and its investment attractiveness. More than 1,800 scholars assessed the level of academic freedom in different countries between 1900 and 2019 to create the Academic Freedom Index. The report, published on March 30, has revealed that Kyrgyzstan ranks top position in the index, with Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan being placed second and third. Turkmenistan placed fourth, and Tajikistan closes the rating with insufficient data. Edward Lemon, assistant professor at Daniel Morgan Graduate School of National Security, has shared his views on the situation in Central Asia.
Academic freedom is one of the cornerstones of democracy. It's important that universities are able to operate free of interference by the government in order to allow researchers and academics to work on topics of their choice, to push forward innovation, to inspire a next generation of specialists and experts through teaching. And the Academic Freedom Index, which was published last week, tries to rank levels of academic freedom in countries throughout the world. Within Central Asia, the top-ranked country is Kyrgyzstan in terms of academic freedom, and then Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan are given a D ranking, and then the bottom is Turkmenistan with an E ranking. Importantly, I think the Academic Freedom Index recognizes some of the changes that have been going on in Uzbekistan since 2016, since Shavkat Mirziyoyev came to power. And so we've seen the ranking of Uzbekistan, the rating, improve quite dramatically over the past few years. Of course, work still needs to be done to improve the situation in terms of academic freedom. But the report recognizes certain developments, such as the establishment of new linkages with Western universities and partnerships that will help improve governance and research exchange. Whilst Uzbekistan's level within the ranking is still quite low, its trajectory is in the right direction.
Barely a month before Europe started to scramble for masks, ventilators, and test kits, European Union governments told Brussels their healthcare systems were ready and there was no need to order more medical supplies. That's according to internal and public documents seen by Reuters. In the minutes of a closed-door meeting with diplomats from member states on February 5th, a European Commission official had said things under control, and there is a strong level of preparedness in member states. Most have measures in place to detect and treat COVID-19. According to the minutes, the official was relaying comments from national envoys. Europe is anything but under control, with overwhelmed healthcare workers and crowded hospitals. The overly optimistic outlook came just 2 weeks before the first victims of coronavirus in Italy, where more than 13,000 people have since died from the virus, and nearly 10,000 Italian health workers have been infected. Asked whether the documents seen by Reuters showed the European response had been too slow, a spokesman for the EU executive said, quote, "As from January, the Commission offered the possibility of support to member states." In mid-February, the EU Agency for Disease Control said risks that healthcare systems might exceed their capacity were considered low to moderate. A month later, it said that no countries would have enough intensive care beds by mid-April.
We don't want to lose our great oil companies.
U.S. President Donald Trump says he's inviting American oil executives to the White House this Friday. He says they'll talk about how to help an industry hit by a fall in demand for fuel during the coronavirus outbreak, as well as a price war between major producers Saudi Arabia and Russia. The president said Wednesday he'd spoken to leaders in both countries.
I think that Russia and Saudi Arabia at some point are going to make a deal in the not-too-distant future, because it's very bad for Russia, it's very bad for Saudi Arabia, and it's very bad. I mean, it's bad for both, so I think they're going to make a deal. You know, the free market is a wonderful thing. It's amazing how it can work, but I think they're going to make a deal.
Global oil prices have plummeted by around 2/3 this year, with the pandemic taking a bite out of the world's economies. Around the same time, Saudi Arabia and Russia have started to flood the market with oil. The price collapse has put the U.S. drilling industry at risk of bankruptcies and massive layoffs. The Wall Street Journal reported Wednesday Exxon and Chevron are expected to be among the big drillers at this week's meeting, and Trump is likely to talk about options that include tariffs on oil imports from Saudi Arabia.
Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison announced on Thursday free childcare for 6 months, part of a bid to keep businesses going during the coronavirus pandemic.
We'll be ensuring for those parents who are still in that position where they are needing that childcare, it will be free. And we'll be putting in place support arrangements to the childcare facilities, some 13,000 of them, to ensure that they'll be able to remain open and be there for those parents to ensure that they can do what they need to do each day.
Childcare centres have lost significant business in recent weeks, as thousands of Australians have been working from home. The childcare subsidy adds to a growing list of support packages worth over $100 billion, as the government attempts to hibernate the Australian economy for the time being. Australia has ordered the shutdown of businesses across the country to stop the virus's spread. Morrison added that Australians should be prepared to live with these changes for months.
I really want Australians to understand that we need to be in this for that haul. It will be months. We need to make changes that we can live with and that we can implement day after day, week after week, month after month.
State officials say these efforts are paying off. The country's daily infection rate has dropped to single digits from almost 30% just 2 weeks ago. This Filipino teenager is putting his Christmas gift to good use. Meet Marcus Chu, a 16-year-old student in Manila. The capital city is currently under lockdown and school classes are suspended. But Marcus hasn't been wasting his free time. He has been making dozens of face shields with his 3D printer at home to help doctors on the front lines.
On the internet, I've seen a lot of posts about the doctors and the people in the front line who are suffering from all these tiring works.
Many countries, including the Philippines, are scrambling to get enough of this protective medical equipment. The 10th grader first found an open-source design of the face shield on the internet, but later tweaked it. Chu said the new design uses less material and can be printed faster. His family has donated the face shields to 4 hospitals in Manila and plans to make more for those in need.
I feel like it's my opportunity to finally help in a very serious situation, even if it's in just a little way.
And this was our last report. Thanks for watching and goodbye.